How did legendary screen car customizer George Barris take $1 and turn it into one of the most iconic and expensive cars on screen of all time? In this video, we'll look at how a Lincoln Futura got bat-pimped, became the legendary Batmobile of the 60s, and then went on to be worth an eye-watering amount of money, all on a shoestring budget. The team behind the 60s Batman wanted a vehicle that would go with their larger-than-life comic book TV adaptation. There was only one man for the job, George Barris, a man whose creations included the Munster Coach, Black Beauty and the Green Hornet, and even Kit from Knight Rider. But his most famous creation would be designing a car for Batman. When the producers of the show sent him the script, he said he picked up on words like bang, pow, boom. So in his own words, Barris said, "That's exactly what I wanted the car to be able to do. I wanted it to be as big a character as the actors themselves." He set to work on finding a chassis that could live up to this. What he found was the unique Lincoln Futura concept car, courtesy of Ford's top designers at the time, Bill Schmidt and John Niger, who had built the car for the 1955 Chicago Auto Show. It was truly unique as only one model was ever made. Usually when this is the case, it increases a car's value, but Ford scrapped plans for the Futura, so the car was essentially worthless. Barris picked it up for just $1, a steal for wheels that had taken $250,000 of Ford's money to design. That's a huge $2.5 million in today's money. But at this point, the car was far from a Batmobile. Barris needed to work his magic before turning the car into something that would make $250,000 look like nothing. Barris worked closely with 5 of his crew and the production designer on the show to make the car bat-worthy. His thrifty work on sourcing the shell meant that 20th Century Fox could afford $15,000 to customize the car. Although this might seem generous, it's not quite the $1 million that Christopher Nolan had to build the Tumbler for the Dark Knight trilogy. Another thing that Barris had far less of was time. He had just 15 days to get the car ready for the screen, so the team needed to work around the clock to get it done in time for filming. Thankfully, the crazy design of the Futura gave Barris a head start. The Jetson-style plexiglass bubble canopy that fits over the passengers was a similar design to the bubble dome of the Batmobile seen in the comics from 1954 to 1957. The middle section of the Barris bubble was removed to turn it into a convertible, but the rest of this eccentric feature remained largely untouched. The Futura had already been inspired by its own animal before being batified. For the concept, designers had been inspired by a mako shark. Thousands of tiny fish scales added to the pearlescent white paint job finished the effect. Barris had the painstaking task of removing these, but first, he was able to utilize the other sharky features. Its tail fins were crafted into bat wings. The top leading edge of these fins were extended into the doors, and the widened bumper was adjusted to become, in more ways than one, a battering ram. The steering wheel was then exchanged with one from a 1958 Edsel before the most important alteration, the paint job. It was completed with that iconic black gloss paintwork with red trim, which really gave it the impact Barris was going for. That was $15,001 well spent, because the car was about to be appreciated by fans and potential buyers alike in a big way. On top of looking amazing, the car also had some impressive gadgets added, which increased its legendary status along with its price tag. There was an oil squirter fashioned from lawn sprinklers, and of course a nose-mounted chain slicer, lasers, rockets, an onboard bat phone, radar, dash monitor, onboard computer, and police beacon. In 1979, the car briefly returned to the screen for the footnote that was the Legends of the Superheroes show. It then went through several more changes over the years after. The gloss black paint was replaced with a flat black flocking, nicknamed the Bat Fuzz. Various new gadgets were added, as well as extra antennas, placards, mirrors, a new steering wheel, and spoked Euro wheels. But in 2013, Barris decided to finish the car back to its glossy black glory and put it up for sale. The Barrett-Jackson auction event held in Scottsdale, Arizona, attracted numerous wannabe Bruce Waynes, none more so than the ridiculously named Rick Champagne, a businessman and car collector. He'd grown up watching the show and would stop at nothing to own it. Okay, that's not strictly true. He stopped at a figure that tied with the James Bond DB5 for the world record of the most expensive car on screen at the time. $4.2 million. Holy expensive car, Batman!